Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our final week of assignments. I say it's your final week because the last week of school is going to be used for catching up on anything. So, some of you have been missing some assignments. So, if you go into your portal and click on the grade, even if it says A right now, click on the grade and you can have a list of everything that you've turned in and everything that you're missing. All of your teachers are using blanks in the gradebook right now instead of Z's, but come the end of the quarter, those are all going to turn into zeros. So make sure that you're keeping up with everything. So the last week of school, the whole week is going to be for you to go in and figure out exactly what you're missing and making sure that you're all caught up on everything. Okay? That includes this class as well. So for today, we are going to continue with our story. And because this story is pretty long, we're not going to finish it today, but I am going to post a link of the movie that goes along with this story right next to the video. So the movie is very short. It's only about 10-15 minutes, and you'll see how the story ends and why the story is known all over the world and why it is so creepy. Okay, we're just getting into the creepy stuff, but the video and the movie shows exactly how it ends for everyone. Okay. So we're on page 142 and 143, and you can follow along with me, or you can look at your RealBook app and read it independently. Let's check out the questions before we start reading so we know what our thinking jobs are. What does Old Man Warner think about talk in the North Village of giving up the lottery? So Old Man Warner. So we already know that people are going to be talking about giving up the lottery. What does he think of that? Does he think it's a good idea? Does he think it's a bad idea? What does Mr. and Mrs. Adams exchange with Old Man Warner tell you about the tradition of the lottery? So an exchange is their conversation. So Mr. and Mrs. Adams are talking to Old Man Warner. And through that conversation, what does that tell you about the tradition of the lottery? Do you think the tradition of the lottery is likely to change in the village? Why or why not? And use evidence in your answer. When I tell you to use evidence, that means you are going to go into the text and you are going to copy an exact piece of the text to support if you think the lottery is going to change or if you do not think it's going to change. Okay, so that answer requires some evidence. Okay, let's get back to our story. Seems like there's no time at all between lotteries anymore, Mrs. Delacroix said to Mrs. Graves in the back row. Seems like we got through with the last one only last week. Time sure goes fast, Mrs. Graves said. Clark, Delacroix, there goes my old man, Mrs. Delacroix said. She held her breath while her husband went forward. Dunbar, Mr. Summers said, and Mrs. Dunbar went steadily to the box, while one of the women said, Go on, Janie, and another said, There she goes. Where next? Mrs. Graves said. She watched while Mr. Graves came around from the side of the box, greeted Mr. Summers gravely, and selected a slip of paper from the box. By now, all through the crowd, there were men holding the small folded papers in their large hands, turning them over and over nervously. Mrs. Dunbar and her two sons stood together, Mrs. Dunbar holding the slip of paper. Harbert? Hutchinson? Get up there, Bill, Mrs. Hutchinson said, and the people near her laughed. Jones? They do say, Mr. Adams said to Old Man Warner, who stood next to him, that over in the North Village they're talking of giving up the lottery. Old Man Warner snorted. Pack of crazy fools, he said. Listening to the young folks. Nothing's good enough for them. Next thing you know, they'll be wanting to go back to living in caves. Nobody work anymore. Live that way for a while. Used to be a saying about lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. First thing you know, we'd all be eating stewed chickweed and acorns. There's always been a lottery, he added petulantly. Bad enough to see young Joe Summers up there joking with everybody. Some places have already quit lotteries, Mrs. Adams said. Nothing but trouble in that, Old Man Warner said stoutly. Pack of young fools. Martin and Bobby Martin watched his father go forward. Overdyke, Percy. I wish they'd hurry, Mrs. Dunbar said to her older son. I wish they'd hurry. They're almost through, her son said. You get ready to run tell Dad, Mrs. Dunbar said. So here are some words in this text that might be new to us. Pack, a group of animals or people. And petulantly, to behave or act in an ill-tempered, peevish way. So Old Man Warner was speaking petulantly, meaning he was annoyed and ill-tempered. Okay, so going back to the 3 questions that are due this week. What does Old Man Warner think about talk in the North Village of giving up the lottery? So all of this page is about Old Man Warner responding to that. What does Mr. and Mrs. Adams' exchange with Old Man Warner tell you about the tradition of the lottery? So again, this page has Mr. and Mrs. Adams talking about other towns giving up the lottery and Old Man Warner's opinion. So what does that conversation tell you? Do you think the tradition of the lottery is likely to change in the village? Why or why not? Tell me, yes, I do think the lottery is going to change. Or tell me, no, I do not think the lottery is going to change. But make sure that you use evidence from the text to support your answer. If you have any questions, you can email me or you can come to the Zoom sessions that I have every week and let me know if you need any help with anything at all, okay? Make sure that you're checking in and that you're keeping up with all of your assignments before the end of the quarter hits, okay? I hope you guys are all doing well, and hopefully I'll see you guys really soon.